Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Fiona Rene about I Know What You Did Last Summer, dropping on Amazon Prime. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show. It's good to see you again.
So good to see you again. Thank you for having me back.
It's exciting.
I
Technically,
hope
your
you-
third time on the show because we did do an Instagram Live. I did a lot of them, but I specifically remember our Instagram Live, and I'll tell you why. It's pretty funny because we were
Tell me.
talking about like horror films and stuff, and I was like telling you, I was like, oh yeah, like I don't know if you knew, I watched this Norwegian like horror anthology called Blood Ride, and you were like, oh yeah, I did a dub for that, the English dub. And I was like, what?
I know it's such a tiny world, especially as an actor in LA. You're just like trying to pay rent half the damn time.
You should you can make a meme of my reaction. Like when you like if you go back, like you're like, oh yeah, I did the dub for that, one of the characters, and I was like, what?
Super fun. It was so fun.
Speaking of super fun, I mean, I Know What You Did Last Summer, dropping on Amazon Prime. I talked to you a little bit before we started. I mean, I love your character. People are going to be able to see this. Such a strong, powerful, cool character. What was it like diving in?
Boss woman looking for the killer.
It's like me. It's so like, what was it like diving into the shoes of that character?
I'll be honest with you. One, I really resonated with her more than I thought I would. We have a lot in common. And two, when I got to Hawaii, I wanted to make sure I did her justice because she's from there. She's a police chief. She's young for being in such a high position. And so I did as much research as I possibly could. I was knocking on doors. I was up at the police station saying, I need to be able to interview as many people as I can. They actually hooked me up with the liaison who was kind of like I was texting her from set every week, kind of asking her questions, making sure that I was doing things in the right protocol and that they were realistic. So there was a lot of like kind of technical research, and then there was a lot of really natural character subtleties that weren't so difficult, that really kind of resonated with me personally.
But we don't waste time with your character in terms of seeing kind of the coolness and the confidence with this character. Like, do you know what I mean by that? Like, people are going to see it. Like, time's not wasted. Did you notice that in the script as well?
Yeah. The story is about these teenagers and their experience after graduation night. But I feel like they really did a good job including me and the parents of the town and some of the other, people of the town. And so you don't have time. There's like murders to be solved.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I found it really funny. I mean, viewers will see the first few scenes you get with me, you get a lot of me.
It's but it's I would
I killed him. He's dead, everyone. He's dead.
It's weird to me. I can't even imagine like kind of being on the show, but for me, like it's weird that I remember like when this was announced. Like I remember when they announced the show, and I remember seeing that you were like gonna be in it, and we talked like 2 weeks before that. I was like, oh my God, like what?
And it's so crazy because I was kind of a wild child growing up, and when I told my dad that I was playing another person in a police department,
Yeah.
my father was like, "What? What do they think you are? Who do they think you are?" Because it's so far from kind of me. But actually, people who fight for a position of power, people who feel like they're unheard and they're kind of fighting their way to the top. That's Lila Calais for sure. I feel like she really had to like kind of prove herself, and there's a lot of backstory to her. But yeah, it was so interesting going from a detective role to a police chief role. And luckily I've had a few guest stars sprinkled in between that weren't like that. I've got a really cool role coming up for a Lincoln lawyer, and I don't play a cop. So that's going to be fun and interesting too.
Oh, absolutely. An iconic, the movie's classic. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I love it. this one is doing a lot of amazing things, a lot of cool twists and turns, and people are just gonna have such a good time. This film kind of blends, sorry, this show, which is based on a film, like just kind of bends a lot of like things in horror. Like there's a lot of like the old classic stuff in it, but like with the gore and the murder and everything, but there's these kind of new dimensions and new kind of character developments and dynamics. Like it's just amazing to see. Do you know what I mean by that? Like the blending of
Yeah,
the
well,
traditional?
Sarah, the showrunner, and she's like our lead writer and EP. She was so adamant on making it for its time.
Yep.
And so really taking like kind of hopefully the heartfelt chunks of what we love from the books and the movie, but not falling on tropes and things that we're
Yeah.
kind of used to from the past, and making this story really resonate for 2021. Teens of this age are going through similar but totally different kinds of things in their world.
Yep.
So I think she's got a weird teenage soul, and she did that justice. Simultaneously, like the music, the score in this, I mean, it's so far from cheesy, and it's so grounded in like real sexy, dirty things that I don't know. I think it balances it very, very well.
The whole cast does an amazing job, but the whole cast, most of the cast play one person. Madison Eisman plays twins and just kind of knocks it out of the park. What was it like kind of working with her, and what did you think about that kind of dynamic? Because that,
I
yeah,
love Maddie. I love her. She is the tiniest, sweetest, cutest person on the planet. I wish I could put her in my pocket. And she's just an absolute star and an absolute professional, really. And to be honest, every single person on that cast,
Yeah.
like we had our premiere, and it was like a reunion to see everybody, and like I just couldn't believe us all being together. But everyone is a joy. Like not only talented and professional, but huge hearts, empathetic, caring, considerate. And the biggest kind of shout out that I want to make is that the cast were so fantastic because they really cared for their crew. I don't know if you know a lot about what's going on right now with IATSE and the authorized strikes, but without a crew, especially a local Hawaiian crew, we would not have this show.
No.
And there are thousands of people working behind the scenes that need a bit of love. And I feel like our cast really, there was no divas on set not, appreciating their crew. So I really, really appreciated that.
And yeah, you know what? It's one of those things where you do a lot of, it's funny, I do a lot of interviews where people sometimes say that and be like, oh, like everyone was great, there's no divas on set. And I do some of the interviews where like it's not even like mentioned at all about like that. So it's like, I guess like it wasn't like that. Like
And it's interesting because obviously there's so many different perspectives, and I wasn't on set every single day.
Mhm.
So there may have been a day where Maddie came in and she was a diva. I highly doubt it, but it's possible. But
you're just trying to like cover like your cover the
I'm here for it. But my personal experience was like the cast in general were ballers.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone got along. We created a little family, and there was such a huge age gap.
Yep.
You have like the younger early 20s playing teenagers. Then you have like, I don't want to give away everyone's age, they'll kill me. But then you have the adults who are, in their 40s or so.
Mhm.
I was the only person in my 30s.
Mhm.
So I definitely felt kind of like this bridge between the ages, but it didn't matter. Everyone got together. Obviously, COVID kind of hindered us from being able to like do any proper hangs.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
it was wild. Like we all really got along. I had a great time. I want a season 2, Pete.
I do too. It's it's one of those things where Fiona Rene and PD Beats, we take horror very seriously. Okay,
Very seriously.
we do. You say it with like a smile and a grin, but we do. We love the genre like a lot. Is the pressure these days, do you think, a little too much about how amazing the genre has become, though? That like every time something kind of is out there, whether it's an adaptation or like a new like buzz original horror film, like there's like I feel like there's so much pressure in the
Yeah.
genre right now.
Well, you know why I think that, and I do agree with you. I'm a horror all the way, but I do take it very seriously. I think the pressure is there because the genre is finally being kind of um, laid out
Mm.
because there's not, the idea of zombie versus vampire versus werewolf versus paranormal versus slasher killer,
Mhm.
all of these genres, there's a really fine and delicate ratio of comedy to realism to gore. And each genre has its own ratio to balance.
Yep.
So the pressure is on for creators to make sure to make it really fit, not only for its genre, but for its own story. And
Yeah.
I know What You Did Last Summer does a badass job with balancing the sexy and the scary and the little bit of comedy with realism. Um, you know, all Mike Flanagan's stuff recently that he's come out with, I'm like, let's work with that guy.
It
I'm all
takes
for
turns though. I know what we did last summer. It's so true that you said that about like the set, like the party scenes, and then like
it.
it
Yeah.
takes like it's like a it's like a it swerves. Like you're driving
Yes.
a car, there's a lot of swerves.
Yes. And that's hard
Yeah.
because one, you want to keep your audience. Sorry, my
Your
cat
cat's
is
so awesome. Your
yeah,
cat just like stare like you're is it a he or a she?
his name is Denver. He's been in the hospital all week,
Well,
you guys.
Denver was like looking for the screen time because he not only cut
Here for
in,
it.
but he looked like at the camera.
You're your mother's son.
We made eye contact. That was pretty cool.
Hey, buddy. He's really feeling it. Anyway, yeah, I think you're right in regards to the ratio balance
Yep.
and how I know You Did Last Summer really kind of has to jump around to really tell the story, but they do a great job.
But I suppose
I
the
mean,
sour about
editors-
it, I mean, the pressure. Like like you can't escape the pressure. You know what I mean? This is an iconic franchise. You're smiling because you're like, oh my God, it comes out tomorrow. Petey, stop
know.
it.
Ah! I think every artist for any series feels the immediate pressure of like, I hope audiences like it. I hope I do the work justice. I hope I make my team proud, right? But simultaneously, like, we're not trying to be the old movie and we're not trying to be the books. We're trying to do our thing. And I feel like I can do
Say
me.
it. Just
You know what I'm saying?
Preach.
I'm gonna do me, and if you want something else, go get something
That's
else. Baby.
huge. That should be like clipped for like ever about for like any project. That is such a huge thing. I feel like that is such a misconception with adaptations because
Yeah.
there's that kind of assumption that it has to be the same or it has to take the same directions. Like that is so true. That's such a good point.
Thank you. That's what I believe.
That is amazing. Have you thought about takeaways yet in terms of like what you're hoping to get out of it specific? I feel like it's a good segue to what you were kind of talking about. It's going its own direction. But what are you hoping to get out of it when they get to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer on Amazon Prime, Fiona?
When audiences watch it,
Correct.
I've got two things with this.
Yeah.
With any kind of entertainment, I want you to have fun, right? Like not take things too seriously, have a good time, resonate, play, laugh, cry, let you experience part of yourself. Let yourself have a good time watching it.
Yep.
Simultaneously, since I am, a bit of a horror snob, and I do believe that horror,
I'm right on that. Like I know you're really into it.
all the horror genres, whether it's like we said, vampires, zombies, paranormal, psychological thriller, mystery thriller, like you see, whatever, it's all based around fear. Everything is rooted in fear. That's the one commonality that all these horror genre facets have in common. So that was a bit repetitive, but you get what I'm saying.
100%.
So at the end of the day, I think that fear always comes from some kind of tragedy, some kind of guilt, some kind of shame. And this show is about secrets. And I think that's the key here is, past the fun takeaway of just enjoying yourself. I would hope
And
that
regret too. Regret.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, thank you. Regret, guilt, shame, secrets, all of these things that kind of turn into its own monster if not dealt with, turns into its own killer, whether it's external or internal. I hope that audiences take away a little mirror that they can hold up to themselves and kind of say, what am I hiding? What am I not facing? What am I keeping under the blanket that needs to come out to the light? I hope that deep down that's what happens.
Absolutely. Fiona, thank you so much for coming back on Popternative. I really enjoyed chatting with you as always.
I love it as always. Can't wait to chat with you on the
You're like
next one.
a three-time guest now. So like, do I have to get you something like a mug or something?
I'll take a mug. If you send me a mug, I'll use it for the rest of the interviews we have.
Absolutely. It's going to drop on Amazon Prime. Everyone's going to be able to see it. Where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything?
At Fiona Rene on everything.
Very simple. Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, you're going to be able to catch Fiona Rene. And I Know What You Did Last Summer, dropping on Amazon Prime. Until next time, this is Fiona and PD Beats signing off.
Mwah!
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.